I'd like to congratulate you for being here and to deeply honor you. I really have deep respect for your willingness to allow the time and the space that it requires to envision your future, to be brave enough to ask yourself, what do I want? How do I want to manifest all of my goals, dreams, wishes, and desires? It really is, as we've seen in the last few days, a very exciting time to be alive. So I'm curious, who here is really excited to consciously create their own reality and live the life of their wildest dreams? Woo, let's hear some noise. Okay, great. But what if I told you that according to a study on Psychology Today, that over 98% of you in this room and around the world will likely die with unfulfilled dreams? And what that looks like is that you get to your final days, your final moments, and you feel regret. You may be having fear of missing out, a bad case of FOMO, or you may have conversations going through your head that you wish that you'd had, that you didn't get to have, to create the closure that you need in order to transition. And this reminds me of a beautiful quote from the late, great Dr. Wayne Dyer, who wrote, "Do not die with your music still inside you." And so the great news about that is that I can help you with this to overcome this very depressing statistic. And I have two very powerful intentions to share with you. The first intention is how to spark a conversation, a connection with the universe, so you can tune in to the infinite field of potential, of infinite wisdom, of infinite possibility. And the second intention is to transform your journey to manifesting. And it's probably not what you think it is. Transforming your journey to manifesting is where you can instantly shift your reality. So you can face any situation that the universe delivers to your life, into your reality. So you can face fear with faith and uncertainty with beautiful certainty. So now that I have given you a very sacred mission to accept today, who here would like to know the secret sequence that I discovered in my 39 years of fieldwork now to avoid what I call deathbed dread? A show of hands? Okay, great. Okay, so we're going to do something really fun right now that worked really well in my breakout session yesterday for those of you that were here. And what I want you to do is turn to the partner next to you and look into their eyes. Stare deeply into their eyes. Okay, has everyone got a partner? Good. And what I want you to do now is to pull the most ridiculous face that you have ever pulled in your life, and I want you to hold it. I want you to poke your tongue out, cross your eyes, make a ridiculous face. And as you hold their gaze and their stare, I want you to say, "I see you." Okay, so what we just did there, you can stop now. Please stop. I don't want the wind to change. Don't want your faces to stay that way. I've seen it happen. It's not pretty. Okay, we're back to normal now. What we did there was we accessed the present moment. Who here felt present and happy and joyful in that experience? Well, joy is the currency of consciousness. This is how we access this beautiful universal life force. And what we know is that in the last couple of years, maybe looking back a little bit further than that there's an upward trend in the amount of people that identify with the label of spiritual but not religious. That most of you beautiful people here and around the world, we know that most of you believe in a higher power, hold some kind of faith, whether you call that God, or may the force be with you, or source energy, or the universe, which is what I call it. This power has a tremendous impact on our lives. In fact, it's one of the most underutilized resources that we have available to us as human beings. It's like having a Tesla, but not plugging it in to charge it, right? So it becomes difficult to drive the car if you don't tune in and plug into the matrix, so to speak. So what I would love to remind you of is that you have this infinite power, this infinite wisdom within you. which is why it's so brilliant to see conscious companies such as Mindvalley and Google and Intel bring in mindfulness experts to train, teach, and educate their staff on the importance of meditation and how that impacts productivity and groundedness and presence and how they interact with their customers, and most importantly, connection. Connection to yourself, connection to your community, and connection to that higher power. Because when you bring awareness to this magical ability that you have within you to spark that conversation, that connection with the universe, magic happens. It's incredible. It has an impact on your physiology, on your well-being, on your heart space, on your emotional well-being, and on your brain. So speaking of which, who here has brain cells? A show of hands? Okay, so just so you know, all of your hands should have gone up in theory. Some people have more, some people have less. And what we know is that we have a small clump or cluster of those cells. That's a technical term, by the way. And those cells are purely responsible for how you connect and engage with other people. And so can you guess what happens when you don't nurture and nourish those cells? Any guesses? They die off. They can't work for you. And so what we're seeing is there's a disconnect in body and mind and in spirit. And we're seeing this with epidemic proportions of loneliness within society, where as many as 52% of Americans identify with feeling alone, with feeling isolated. Many of them are behind a screen, right? Many young Americans have this false sense of reality that they're actually having meaningful connections with other people, when really it's a screen. It's something called disconnected connectedness. In the UK, it's such a huge problem that within Parliament, they appointed a minister of loneliness to deal with this health epidemic. So it's really important that we take time to connect with other people. And that's what we've been doing here with this incredible tribe. And so to give you a higher level overview and tie this all in, imagine for a moment that you have a very important call to receive. This call commences the next chapter of your life, the facilitation of a dream that you have always wanted to manifest. It could mean that you manifest more abundance, more passion, purpose, that your mission and your message is impacting millions, if not billions of lives around the world. And it comes time to receive that call. Let's just say 1:11 p.m., because that's my favorite number. And you look at your phone, and there are no bars to receive the call. You're off the grid, in a dead zone, not close to a cell tower, so you do not have any connection or any service. Has this ever happened to anyone, by the way, when you need to make an important call, or Skype drops out, or your Facebook Live doesn't work and the connection's weak? Anyone? Yeah. So that sucks, right? So this is the closest analogy that I can use to how most people approach their connection to the universe. That when they don't make that time to make sure that they can receive that service, then they do drop into that dead zone and they can't receive that call that they really need. And it's painful. Part of my work as a manifesting teacher over the last 10 years as the co-founder of the Manifesting Academy with my incredible soulmate, Sean Patrick Simpson, who is over there, we have had the honor and the privilege and, of course, the duty of care to lean in and to listen to what our community needs and wants. And we've seen the loneliness, that's for sure. That's something that is just everywhere right now. And what we love doing is to tune in to the trials and the tribulations, how we can best support them, and also how we can celebrate their success, because success leaves clues. Have you ever heard this before? Success leaves clues. Well, I think it's kind of bullshit in a way, because it's very one-dimensional. It's not the full lean into wholeness approach to spirituality and manifesting. And what I constructed was this: fear, pain, and failure leave blessings. And it's that pain that becomes a magical portal to transformation, to connect with the universe. Because when you connect with the universe, it can happen in one of two ways. It's usually through either pain, you're in such dire pain and you don't want something to happen and you really want to connect with a higher power to hand that situation over to something that you believe will help. Or it's joy, crying out, "Oh God," during sex or something like that. But what I love is, like I mentioned, leaning into the comments and listening, because I believe that listening is a superpower, and we all have that ability. Not only is superconsciousness and the universe such an underutilized, undertapped resource, so is listening. We have these two things on the side of our heads, and hardly any of us actually stop and say, hey, am I a good listener? Because that's how you get the biggest clues to expand the next level of your journey, by paying attention, by bringing conscious awareness to whatever the universe is delivering into your reality. And so that's why I love listening to the emails, reading the emails, reading the DMs, reading the letters. And one letter in particular changed everything for me. This was a letter that a woman wrote to me who had been through a very similar situation to me. She had endured many years of violence by her husband. And it was 2008, 2009 on New Year's Eve when she wrote to me. And she said that her husband had gone to bed in a really bad mood. She'd chosen a movie that he didn't really like, and so he went to bed with his cranky pants on. And her two little children were very small, so she'd had them in bed already. And it was approaching midnight on New Year's Eve. And you know what it's like. There's parties going on. And she went out into her backyard, her garden, and she could hear her neighbors connecting, having fun. She could hear them popping bottles of champagne and loud music cranking loudly, and the occasional firework going off. And in that moment, she had never felt so alone, so isolated, and so disconnected from humanity and from her purpose. Has anyone ever felt like this? Are you brave enough to raise your hand? Thank you. I really honor you for that, because we're not alone. We're all in this together. And she wrote to me in this moment where she felt so isolated and alone. And she said, "Dear Sarah, please help me to take this pain away. Show me an inspired idea. Share with me an inspired path of action to take. I never want to feel this way ever again." That was her rock bottom moment, that moment that she really needed to walk through that painful portal to create transformation. And so over the years, we kept in touch, and I was very happy to see that she did leave her first marriage. She ended up going on to meet and manifest her soulmate, which was fantastic to see. But what she didn't anticipate was that the universe had other plans for her. And when she wanted to create and manifest a baby, God, the universe, source energy, and her body had different ideas. She went on to have 5 consecutive miscarriages in a row, one after the other. Doctors told her that it would be physically impossible for her to carry a baby to full term. In fact, one of the miscarriages happened at an A-Fest 5 years ago, almost to the day. But the good news is that she actually did go on to have a successful pregnancy. So by the time 38 weeks of the pregnancy rolled around, she had to go in to have an elective C-section. Now, if you don't know what that is, that's where you surgically have the baby removed from your body, as opposed to passing a watermelon out of the eye of a needle, which is... I've done that myself. It's not very fun. And so it was the happiest day of her life to welcome in her soul baby, which she had manifested after overcoming and rising above so much adversity. And due to the high-risk nature of the pregnancy, the elective C-section was the only way she could do that. So they took the baby out, they handed the baby to the daddy, who was so in love with that baby, and the anesthetic wore off from the waist down. That would have been horrific, right? The worst pain you could imagine. She could feel her abdomen wide open, everything. Like she could feel the blood leaving her body very quickly, blood pressure dropping, the pain so bad that her body went into shock. She lost consciousness and she transitioned to the other side, with, at that point, her music still inside her. But the good news is that it was a near-death experience, a choice that she made after she communed and connected with the universe to come back into her body and to be with her baby and her soulmate and to fulfill her mission. And I was reminded of that letter that she had written to me many years ago. "Dear Sarah, take the pain away. Help to take the pain away. Share with me an inspired idea. Show me an inspired path to take. I never want to feel this way again." But here's the thing. she didn't write, "Dear Sarah." She actually wrote, "Dear Universe." In that moment, she connected with the universe, with the all-pervading power that animates all that is. Those two words, "Dear Universe," would become the title of a book that she would write 10 years later. And how do I know that? Because I wrote that book, and because I am that woman. And what I've learnt over the last 10 years, helping millions of people around the world to manifest their desires, and through having that experience of transitioning to the other side, which is a conversation for another day. Ask me if you want later. What I've learned is that there are so many different levels of spirituality that need to be addressed within the self-help personal development space. And I feel it's my mission to rise above those myths. So I'll share with you a few of those myths, and I'll also share with you the secret sequence that I mentioned earlier that will help you to face anything in your life. Now, I don't care what that is in your life, whether it's good or bad, scary or a celebration. These three things, and you want to write them down, so get your pen and your paper ready, because these three things will help you to overcome anything that the universe presents you with. But first, the myths. The myths. Oh, this is exciting. So who here has ever heard of the term thoughts become things? A show of hands, please. Okay, all of the hands went up. That's good. It's better than the brain cells. So thoughts become things is such a small part of the picture. It's actually a myth, because it's your feelings and your emotions are what manifests. The universe is delivering your experience through how you feel. It's not the Tesla on the vision board, the idea of moving towards that. I mean, that's fantastic, but it's the feeling that Tesla will give you, that feeling that drops down into your heart space. And with that comes the emotional responsibility to guide your energy, that you can rise above fear, you can embrace love, and you can remember your power. And this is why it's so important that we don't push to the side however we're feeling, and we lean into the wholeness of our experience. So when you blame somebody else or you make them responsible for how you're feeling, then you're actually disowning your power. You're handing over your energy to somebody else. We do it in relationships all the time. I probably did it last night to my husband. Oh, no laughter? Okay. You can laugh, it's okay. So there's no point getting it right. You won't get it right all the time. So what you need to do is bring the awareness to how you're feeling. So if you're having a bad day, don't reject it. I get people sending me messages all the time saying, "Sarah, I had a really bad day. I felt really depressed and down. I can't stop thinking negative thoughts. Will I manifest my desires? Have I ruined everything for myself? Have I got in my own way? Have I self-sabotaged?" And the truth is that no, you can't self-sabotage like that. You can't reject that part of yourself. But if you showed up with compassion and forgiveness and awareness for whatever you're feeling, you can actually move through that feeling and that experience a lot faster. So it moves you towards what you ultimately want to manifest. So the very final thing is meditation. Who here meditates or has ever tried meditation? I'm glad to see lots of hands up. So one of the common problems is that people try and quiet their thoughts. You might have tried to meditate and you might have been frustrated at yourself because you can't stop thinking about what you need to make for dinner, where you need to take the kids, what bills you need to pay, the calls that you need to have. But here's the thing, meditation isn't supposed to just get rid of the thoughts completely. The purpose of meditation is to connect, this is from my perspective anyway, is to connect to the universe, to plug into that charger, as I mentioned before, to make sure that you have enough juice in the engine to be able to give to others, to show up energetically and vibrationally. So those three elements together with that awareness, with the myths, it leads me into the secret sequence. Okay, so this is three things that I've tried and tested, and I believe that if you show up with the awareness, with each of these three superpowers combined, you can combat anything. no matter what you're facing in your life. It could be that your father has been diagnosed with an incurable lung disease, or your younger sister is schizophrenic, has been in jail this year, and is living on the streets. This is two things, just two examples of what I'm currently facing. And so I use these 3 key points. Anytime I'm feeling that little feeling of doubt drop in my heart and I'm not being present in the moment. So the very first key point is intention. Everything in this beautiful universe that we live in together, that we occupy on this beautiful planet, is based on intention and feedback. Cause and effect. Everything has like this ripple effect. There is a beautiful energy behind intention if you get curious enough to lean in. And so it doesn't matter what you're being presented with in your current reality. So let's just say you're having a conversation that isn't going the way that you want it to because the other person's not showing up in accordance to your expectations. What if you leaned in with curiosity to examine the intention? Where's their heart? What's the agenda? What are they trying to communicate? And then the second part of that is taking responsibility for your intention and how that's translating out there into the world. So setting powerful intentions, whether it's on a moment-by-moment basis with your feelings and your emotions, which are what manifest, or whether it's creating that grand vision for your life to envision your future and make sure that you don't die with your music still inside you, to make sure that you can connect to that service provider so you don't lose trust in your service provider when you're trying to make that important call that will lead to that next level of your life. So that's intention. The next one is presence. This is what we established at the beginning with that joyful exercise. And you access presence by bringing awareness to the present moment. It's that power of now. That's your most pivotal point of power. That's your direct access to the universe at all times. And the more present you can be, the more you can release any of the resistance that is holding you back energetically from allowing your desires to flow into your reality. Presence, stillness. Be still and know I am the universe, or I am God. And being aware that we are all part of this beautiful fabric of oneness, every single one of us playing our role. Beyond the borders of religion and spirituality, there is this beautiful divine golden thread that binds each and every one of us. And when you remember that, when you can tune into your heart space and remember that you have this incredible power of presence within you, then you empower yourself to create anything it is in your life that you desire. It is such along with listening. And remember I said that listening is a very underutilized skill. Everybody that can listen and be present together, if you can listen and be present at the same time and become a witness to the beauty of life that's unfolding for you, the universe working through you and for you, then life becomes magical. It becomes an adventure. And you never know what's going to be presented into your reality, but you know that you are equipped to face anything that unfolds for you. And thirdly, lucky last, write this one down, and I could talk about this like for the next 10 hours, is surrender. Surrender has a really potent energy to it when you remember to let go. Letting go is the essence of surrender. Letting go is the essence of surrender. It's where you can get comfortable with that uncertainty and you're okay no matter what shows up in your reality. And that's really hard to neutralize those feelings, right? Because we hold on so tightly to what it is that we want to manifest. It must happen this way, by this time, by this date, it must be this person. I want to manifest my ex back. But what if you were open to all possibilities and that part of your practice was to surrender to what is? To get comfortable with uncertainty. One of my favorite quotes is by the Sufi poet Rumi, who wrote, "Out beyond wrongdoings and right doings is a field. I'll meet you there." And this is really the playground of humanity when we can look beyond judgment, when we can remember the power that we have to use all of these 3 elements in the secret sequence, the intention, to know where we're going, that clarity, that beautiful vision that we're holding in our hearts at all times, to hold yourself to that highest standard. And then secondly, presence, connecting to the present moment, whether it's through a joyful exercise like pulling a silly face, or whether you're dancing or cooking or reading or writing or whatever it is that brings your heart joy, do more of that, because that's how you activate presence. And you can connect with other people through that experience. And we've experienced that over the last few days. It's been absolutely phenomenal to see the speakers facilitate these incredible sessions that have really activated within you presence. This is the magic of creation. The essence of creation is in presence. And then thirdly, being okay no matter what shows up. Surrender. Letting go and letting love guide the way. So who here would be interested in doing a closed eye exercise just to close right now to incorporate these three things? Okay. So gently close your eyes, please. And take in a deep breath. And then exhale. And may we now call upon the infinite wisdom of the universe to guide us for the next few minutes. Dear universe, thank you for bringing us all together at this point in time. Thank you for activating within us the energy and the connection that we need to feed and nourish and nurture ourselves and ourselves. Thank you for guiding us to envision our future, envision your future, to tune in to the intentions that you want to bring to fruition in your reality. May you now tune into the presence of the infinite wisdom, infinite intelligence, whatever that word is for you, whether it's God, the force, source energy, or the universe. And then you can place your hand on your heart, please. And give yourself full permission to surrender to what is. To truly open your heart to all possibilities, because that is where you tune in to the magic of all that is, and that access point to the universe, so the universe can flow through you, for you, in every area of your life. And this secret sequence, and when you use it in conjunction with awareness and listening and joy and tuning in to the powers that be, that you are now equipped to impact millions, if not billions, of lives around this planet, so that everyone can experience the love that you are currently experiencing in this present moment as we have this collective experience together. Bring an intention to the forefront of your mind that arrives as a feeling that you are consciously intending to take with you after this session into the rest of your day and ultimately into the rest of your life. Hold that feeling in your heart and trust that you have access to it whenever you need to, when you surrender, when you are present, and when you set the intention. And so as this mini meditation now draws to a close, we give thanks to the divine sublime center of love, of trust, and of truth within each and every one of us for having blessed us and given us this incredible collective and collaborative experience of energetic union to commemorate our commitment to the unified paradigm to heal this planet. So be it. And so it is. When you're ready, please gently open your eyes. Okay. So please raise your hand if you felt a sense of connection in that experience. Thank you. So once again, if I could leave you with any message today, it would be this. Please make sure that you do not die with your music still inside you. Seek that joy. Lean into things that you love. Get curious about more of the shadow side of your life and embrace the feelings that you would be inclined to reject. But give them a big hug. Lean in and give them a big hug and approach them with compassion, with forgiveness. Rise above judgment and trust that you are a magnificent being and that all that you need is within you right now to create a very compelling and empowering future for yourself. Thank you very much.